Hello, hello. What's up, everybody? Give a minute for some people to join. My Friday's good so far. Not much has been pretty uneventful so far. Reflexively clicking the notification? I guess that's a good sign if I've got people reflexively doing that. But I don't know, maybe you're expecting a video, like a regular video. Which a regular video is coming soon, so I probably will actually work on that as soon as this stream is over. Can everybody hear me okay? Oh yeah. I used to do the thing where, you know, you'll have like the pre-thing where it'd be like stream starting soon. Because that's, you know, that kind of gives people time to join the stream. But what I've found is that when people enter a stream and they see the stream starting soon thing, they don't stay because that's not interesting to watch. So I'll just go ahead and start the stream and just wait for people to join. And also, if people want to rewatch the stream later, they have to like skip through that at the beginning. So overall, I've decided I'm not a fan of that. Could James Bond defeat a Terminator? Well, of course not. Where am I from? I'm from the dirty South. I'm also from the South. I live in Birmingham, Alabama. Do I play video games? I don't play video games nearly as much as I used to, but I usually have like 1 or 2 games on rotation. It's rarely like any of the like new games, although I have been playing Baldur's Gate 3 lately, which is a pretty relatively new popular game. I like competitive type games. I like fighting games and stuff like that. And I used to play a lot of MMOs, but I haven't done that in a while either. I was really into Overwatch for a while, but I kind of stopped playing that. Although I probably will go back to it eventually because it's pretty fun. But I don't spend quite as much time playing video games as I used to. I used to be obsessed with them. Two regular people did. I don't know if I recall the Terminator movies, but don't they always have the help of another Terminator when they fight Terminators? Oh, I guess not in the first movie. I forget what happened in the first movie. Yeah, I don't remember how that movie ended. I appreciate the first movie because it's more of a horror movie than any of the other ones. So it's like the first two Terminator movies are like both really awesome. But the first one is like basically a horror movie. I kind of feel like Sarah Connor is more of a badass than James Bond though. But I may be just kind of biased. I'm not like super into James Bond. I think he's kind of corny. They spoiled the twist. I think I was like 8 when that movie came out. So I don't know if I remember what the marketing was for it. And honestly, I probably saw Terminator 2 before I saw Terminator 1, like for the very first time. I have not seen the new Scorsese movie. I don't really get out to watch a lot of movies these days. But I imagine like if they were doing it right, they should have marketed it as if he was the villain for sure. It's like, oh shit, he's back. And then you watch it and it's like a cool twist that he's actually a good guy. I love that movie. So like Terminator 2 is probably in my top 5 all-time favorite movies. Such a good movie. What books am I reading these days? Currently I am reading Truth of the Divine by Lindsay Ellis. It's her second book. And I'll probably be reading that for a little while because I am a very, very slow reader. I read the first book, it was pretty good. And I'm enjoying the second one. Something I really like about lower budget films like T1 is they tend to get really efficient with their storytelling. Yeah, well, I mean, if they're made by good filmmakers, sure. There are a lot of quite bad low budget movies also. And there are a lot of bad high budget movies too. Don't get me wrong. Just popping in, say hi, thanks for the video about why you stopped making political content. I appreciate them, but drawing those boundaries for your mental health is super important. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's interesting how YouTube worked because by the time I made that video, it had been already like a year since my last politics focused video, but it seemed like people didn't really notice. But that's kind of how YouTube works. You know, the algorithm kind of just shows you what it thinks you want to see. But we'll see where this channel goes. I think this channel is about to get weird. So we'll see if anybody's into it. Not weird, but just very different than what it was before. And hopefully there's still an audience for that. Thoughts on Ultimate Spider-Man having Pete and MJ married with kids? I mean, I don't know. That's fine. I don't know really the context. There's definitely, I mean, they've been depicted as married many times before. I don't know if I've ever seen them, like, at least growing up reading comics, I don't know if I remember them ever having kids. Do you think African Americans should have established an own state in USA like the Irish did in the UK? No. I mean, I think black people need advocacy, but I'm not generally in favor for, you know, like ethno-nationalistic states, regardless of who forms them. Diversity is good. Crazy memories from high school. I don't know. I'm at the age where high school for me is such a blur, it's hard to even recall stuff. And also I was kind of sheltered and timid in high school, so I didn't really get up to much. I didn't really get, like, my wild phase was like in my mid to late 20s. My wife didn't know the twist in T2. She went in blind. Arnold being the good guy this time caught her off guard. I think that would be a great experience if you didn't know that going in. This is like, I don't watch or I try to avoid movie trailers these days because I want to go in completely blind whenever I see a movie. If it's a movie that I really care about seeing. And I'm a big, for example, I'm a big fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I refuse to watch any of the trailers if I can help it. And I believe that's a much better experience for watching those movies. When you go in completely blind and just have no idea what's going to happen. A good example is that I watched Spider-Man, the Spider-Man, the latest Spider-Man movie. Had no idea what the hell's going to happen. And I was completely like shocked at all the stuff that was in that movie. I have not seen The Creator. Underrated low budget movie. Underrated low budget movie. I don't know. I'm kind of trying to think of anything that comes to mind. And then there's like, it's like what counts as underrated. There's this movie I saw in college called Better Luck Tomorrow that's really good. I never hear anyone talking about it, and that's like, I think it's like one of the best movies I've ever seen. And it's, you know, it has a modest budget. It's like it revolves around this like group of Asian American friends, and it's like, you know, they get into some fucked up stuff. I live in my own world sometimes. Sorry I missed your video. Well, I mean, like I said, it's like YouTube kind of decides what people see. Like at this point, you know, you're not really expected to like go to people's channels and keep up with their videos. You know, it's all about the suggestion algorithm. I've actually never seen Black Mirror. Well, I've seen exactly one episode of Black Mirror. Weird is more honest. Yeah, I don't mean to say that the videos are going to be themselves are going to be strange. It's just going to be weird in that it's going to be very different from anything that I've made before. But I'm having fun. Like, for example, if anyone saw the last video, which is about boxing, something like that, like that's kind of a big departure from what I was making before. And I've talked about this already, but it's not the most encouraging start because that video didn't do very well. But you know, it's sports, and I don't think I really have a sports audience, so I kind of understand that. But maybe over time people will watch that video because I do think it's a good video. Is Lindsay Ellis doing better now that she's offline? I remember her from the Nostalgia Critic days, and her mask off video was honestly difficult to watch. Well, I don't talk to her personally. I don't know exactly how she's doing, but I can tell you that she still makes videos, but they're on Nebula. So if you'd like to watch her new stuff, you can join Nebula, and that is kind of like a little plug if you if you want. And wait, hold on. If you go to Nebula though, you got to use my you got to use my my link. What is my link? I guess go to nebula.tv/T1J and then navigate from there. I don't know if that'll work, but I get credit if I send people to Nebula. But yeah, if you're curious to see what she's making, you can go on Nebula. In her personal life, I don't know. You can follow her on Instagram. She puts stuff there, I think. But as far as I know, she's living life and you know, doing okay. But I don't know. I didn't see the live action One Piece. The only thing I really watch is YouTube. I don't watch a lot of TV or movies. I don't even really understand how people have time to watch all this stuff. Like, what are people doing? How do people have time to do anything, like to go to work or to eat and sleep with all these shows and movies that are coming out? I don't really get it. I like watching trailers because sometimes they're better than the movies. That can be true for sure. Imagine if that for the rest of your life you can only play one class in D&D, what do you pick and why? Probably cleric. Unless I can pick DM. If I can pick DM, then I'll pick that. But if you mean one of the player classes, probably cleric or druid maybe. And then it's like, can I switch out the subclasses in different games? Because if so, then I would pick druid. But if I have to pick one class and one subclass, I would be a life cleric. What do you think is the best way to encourage people, particularly men and minorities, to reach out for support in mental health issues? Well, I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. I just think that what seems to have worked is not necessarily like directly approaching people, but just like setting an example and showing that, sort of removing the stigma by showing that it's okay to do and that it is positive to do, and showing examples of other people reaching out and other people taking their mental health seriously and stuff like that. So setting an example, I think, is really important. Why am I not very good at Smash Brothers? Well, have you made an attempt to try to be good? Have you like looked up some tips or tried to practice, or like being good at something usually involves like very specific practice. Usually if you just play the game, you won't be that good. You know, you have to have like very intentional goals when you're playing competitive games. Nebula is totally worth it. Just pick it random and you know it'll be good. Whereas YouTube is turning to a scavenger hunt. Can't even depend on the quality of thumbnails anymore. Yeah, I like to say Nebula is similar to YouTube, but it's kind of like if YouTube was only good videos. And obviously Nebula does have a theme. Most of the stuff on Nebula is roughly not necessarily educational, but sort of like mentally wholesome. Like you won't find Mr. Beast videos on Nebula. Not saying Mr. Beast videos are not good. I actually quite like Mr. Beast videos, but it just doesn't fit the theme of Nebula. But as time goes on, I think Nebula has expanded and grown a lot, and there's a lot of different stuff on there. Like there's a bunch more gaming stuff on there now, which I don't think that used to have in the beginning. So could do like a history of YouTube, the early days, the rise of Amazing Atheists, the skeptics, Trump, the backlash, the rise of BreadTube, now, and where are we headed. I've talked about that in certain videos. I definitely am not going to make that video, or at least I doubt it. I'm like just kind of over that at this point, but I've talked about that before. You can like, I guess for those that were kind of around in the early days, or like the early days, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. It was like 5 to 8 years ago is kind of when the early days of political discourse happened on YouTube. But yeah, you can actually see the sort of progression. Kind of the early days of like pop feminism, and then Gamergate, and the rise of anti-feminism and anti-SJW, which kind of led to the rise of the alt-right, which contributed largely to the rise of Trump. which contributed largely to the rise of BreadTube. And I kind of tapped out during that point, so I kind of don't exactly know what's going on in politics YouTube right now, if it's even still a thing. I think there's kind of like still like the remnants of BreadTube that are still doing stuff, but I think the big stars of BreadTube have kind of evolved beyond BreadTube. So I don't think they have time. People bombard you with what they watch all the time, but most people only watch one or a few shows, movies, whatever. It just feels different. Yeah, maybe. I think it's just because a lot of people talk about different shows that they like, so it seems like everybody's just watching all this all these shows, but each person has kind of their own taste. But I think there is sort of like the show, like the popular shows that it seems like everybody watches, like. Well, I don't keep up, so I don't even know what is on right now. But you know, there's like certain shows, like everybody watched Game of Thrones, everybody watched Breaking Bad. It seemed like everybody watched, you know, like Westworld. It seemed like everybody watched what was more recent? I don't know, but you know what I mean. There are certain shows that it seems like everybody watches. And by the way, I've never seen any of those shows I just mentioned. Not a specific class or subclass. You can be broad. Like I'd play a tank, I'd play a healer. Yeah, I enjoy support classes in RPGs and in tabletop games. In D&D specifically, it's interesting to try to make like a pure healer, because the game is not really about healing. Like you can heal obviously, but you can't just sit in the back and heal. It's not like, you know, you're in a raid in World of Warcraft where you just heal the whole time. But it's kind of fun sometimes to try to make a really pure healer. And I think Life Cleric is the best at it, although there are some other classes that are pretty good at it. What is your most memorable D&D encounter? Well, most of my D&D experience has been as a DM. But I recently, well, I played 2 full 1 to 20 campaigns with my current group. And when you get into like late level, like level 20, or even like a little earlier than that, 18, 19, the game just gets pretty ridiculous, and you can make your party just, you can make them fight gods and shit. Like it gets really ridiculous. But one of my favorite battles was a battle against an ancient blue dragon, and it was kind of a homebrew version of a dragon. I gave it like some really strong abilities, and it was really tough, but you know, they were like level 18 or something, so they were really strong. But that was one of my favorite ones. What's up, Dr. Beavis from Huntsville? That's what's up. I haven't been out to Huntsville in a long time, actually. I think we've got pretty similar taste in hip hop. What have you been listening to lately? Well, much like TV and movies, I don't really keep up with music. But you know, the more recent people that I've been listening to are people like Logic and Joyner Lucas and like Chance the Rapper and I guess Kendrick, but I don't keep up really. When I want to like listen to hip hop, I just listen to the stuff that I grew up loving. Stuff from like the early 2000s and late 90s, like the Fugees and Mos Def and stuff like that. Yeah, Better Call Saul. Seems like everybody's watching that. Oh yeah, the Star Wars stuff. Everybody watches that stuff too. I remember when The Mandalorian first came out. That is literally all that everyone was talking about. Cool Keith or MF Doom? Probably Cool Keith. Less the political takes, but more like what drives and dictates the movement of trends and how we periodize them. Yeah, I mean, I somewhat understood or understand that is something that could be made. But as far as the content that I want to make right now, I just want like, I don't know, I just want to tell like interesting stories and have fun, basically. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm not trying to like analyze or find the solutions to the world. I don't know that I'm like qualified for that. Or not that that's like what you're exactly saying, but I don't know. I think also some social desirability thing. Probably less people watch the shows everybody watches than those who claim to. Maybe. That could be true. Hence why they refuse to go past level 12 in Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense though, because you don't want people like plane shifting and stuff in the video game. Or like, you know, casting the wish spell and shit. Like, how do you even like quantify that in a video game? I've been DMing for a year for our group. Can't wait for that high level. Yeah, it gets. I was a little bit nervous about it because the players are so powerful. Like, you have to be prepared for the players to be able to kind of destroy any challenge you put in front of them because they are just way too powerful after a certain level. I think maybe like 15, 16 plus, it's just like the players are just, they're like demigods at that point. But I think that the way that you handle that is, instead of physical challenges, you give them like mental and social challenges. Like, give them hard decisions to make. I think that's how you still make the game challenging, because the monsters are it's not that the monsters and the battles are going to be really easy, because you can, I think you can go crazy and just make the monsters extremely overpowered at that level, but it's going to be really hard to challenge them in a battle after a certain level. You basically have to like break the rules of reality. Like, they're gonna succeed on every saving throw, they're gonna hit on almost every attack, and you know, it gets difficult. And you can't exactly be like, oh, this monster has an armor class of 30. Like, you know, that gets a little ridiculous. Yeah, beholders are fun. Korik, I saw your message. Beholders are really fun to run. Andor is different. In Star Wars, it's better than Star Wars. I'll take your word for it. I haven't seen it. Just thought you have an interesting perspective because you were pioneer. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see, because I've talked about it before. I'm trying to remember what video I talked about it in. I think if you're interested, you can definitely check out I'm kind of over the whole left tube thing. That's a video I made that kind of goes into that. There's a stream highlight that I made that's titled I think it's called We Didn't Choose to Be Bread Tube. You can check that one out. I talk about it a little bit in that. And then there's an old video from when I was like in the thick of it, and it's called The New Wave of YouTube Skeptics. You can check that video out. And maybe those 3 videos together can give some insight. And also, if you have questions during the stream, I can answer, but in a broad sense, it's a lot to think about. But if you have like specific questions during a stream, I'm definitely happy to talk about it if I have an answer. But I highly doubt that I'm gonna make a video about it, because it's just not that fun of a topic to like work on for like, you know, a month or however long it takes to make a video. What is the best pizza? Do you mean the best pizza toppings or the best pizza place? If it's pizza place, I have no idea. I'm kind of, I don't know. I have eaten so much pizza in my life that I don't get excited about pizza anymore, which is kind of sad. But I think if I found like a really awesome, you know, pizza place, then maybe that could change. But as far as pizza toppings, I don't know. If I feel like it's gonna be like kind of cringe, but I always order ham and bacon, which is just like pork on pork, but it's just so good. Pork is good. But I also, you know, I really love just a classic, just pepperoni pizza. Like, to me, that's like fine. You know, I'm not like a big toppings person. Like, I feel like if you put too much stuff on a pizza, you're just decreasing the quality of it. Just keep it simple. Put some pepperoni on it. It's good. I can deal with like a supreme pizza, but I would never like intentionally order it. Like, I love vegetables, but you have to understand the situation. It's like we're eating pizza here. We're not eating a salad. Give me some meat. Do you think the new atheists on YouTube can grow to a point of being influential again, or does their more measured and intellectual approach make that difficult? Sure. I mean, especially, you know, the sort of new atheist movement was really weird because I think there were like different parts of it, or at least it branched off into different things. Like some of it, I think, branched off into kind of like science-based skeptical content, and some of it branched off into like right-wing manosphere type of content. Maybe not manosphere, but definitely sort of like right-wing conspiracy theory type of stuff. And both of those things are still very popular. So it could definitely be influential again. I think the only reason it isn't is because a lot of the leaders of that movement who are still around have kind of found pretty cushy careers, so they don't really need to be going that ham anymore. I also really hate olives, and olives is a popular pizza topping, but I believe that olives is like the worst food. It's like the only food I like refuse to eat. It's so gross. What am I doing for Halloween? Probably nothing. Halloween is a weird time as you get older. I think I talked about this last stream, but like Halloween's like really fun when you're a kid. And I'm not the first one to make this observation, but you know, Halloween's really fun when you're a kid, but then you kind of become a teenager and it kind of becomes kind of lame. Some teenagers still try to enjoy it, but kind of becomes kind of lame because you don't want to be out there trick-or-treating with all the like little 8-year-olds and stuff. But then when you get into your 20s, get into drinking age, get into partying age, Halloween is like is a big party holiday, so it becomes really cool again. And it kind of stays cool for a while, but then you get to a point where you can't really party like you used to. And that's kind of where I'm at now. It's like I'd like to enjoy Halloween, but I can't really party. And you know, there are some, you know, hip people who have little like, you know, mild Halloween parties and stuff, and maybe I'll check something like that out. I was actually thinking about throwing a Halloween party, but I live in a kind of a small apartment and I can't really have a bunch of people in my apartment because that, you know, for one, they could like destroy the place, but also it probably would be very disruptive to my neighbors. But if I can't find like a chill party to attend, then probably nothing. I've been following Destiny for over a decade. It's interesting how I've seen him grow as a grifter. I don't follow Destiny that closely anymore. I used to watch a lot of his stuff. I don't know that he's a grifter, but who knows? I feel like everybody gets accused of being a grifter, so I don't even know exactly what people mean when they say that. Like, is it like people are, is that imply that people are saying things they don't mean in order to make money? If so, then I don't know that I ever thought that Destiny was doing that, but maybe he is now. I don't know. I mean, in particular, people such as Alex O'Connor, Drew McCoy, and so on, which branch off rather into philosophy, sociology, rather than the vitriolic and often right-wing stuff of the old new atheists. Yeah, I mean, it's unlikely for a movement like that to become super influential if it's not interesting, or if it's not like, if it doesn't tap into people's emotions in the way that, you know, the old movements used to, and tap into people's identities, like sort of like, you know, like nuanced philosophical discussions, that, you know, that's not gonna go viral. But, you know, if you can assemble people into a sort of tribe based on a common identity, then that's the type of stuff that'll get you the views. And I think that's what the New Atheists accomplished back in the day, which is, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it has a very strong potential to get out of hand very quickly, as it did. And it changes once again when you have children. I could see that too. Yeah, once you have children, Halloween comes back around. I don't have children, so I don't know, but didn't know he'd been around that long. I only heard about him like last year when he had his thing with FD. That's interesting how people discover people at different times. Because yeah, I've been aware of Destiny for a long time. I think probably Destiny first got on like I think Destiny had always been a streamer, like a gaming streamer. Like he was like one of the first people to be a professional streamer. I want to say he used to play StarCraft back in the day, but I might be confusing him for someone else. But yeah, he was like a pro streamer back in the way, and then he started getting into politics, and then I think he got on a lot of people's radars when he had that debate with JonTron, which was wild. If anybody remembers that was that was wild. Like, because JonTron was like this really popular YouTube gamer guy, and then he got on the stream and just started saying all this like super racist, like ethno-nationalist talking points, and it's like, what the hell? And that kind of set the path for Destiny as like this political debate bro, and he became very popular and was known for being like good at that, and a lot of people started to follow suit. All right, Kurt, thanks for stopping by. And Atomic, thanks for stopping by as well. I'm not a Destiny fan, and among many words I have for Destiny, I wouldn't call him a grifter. He seems genuine. Yeah, it seems genuine to me as well. Yeah, StarCraft. But yeah, he's been around for a while for sure, and he's evolved as a creator for sure. Like, as people do, you know, no one is the same person they were 10 years ago. If you are the same person that you were 10 years ago, that's a problem. One of my red flags for creators is people who try to talk like they're an expert on everything, including Vosh Hassan. So I may have seen him years ago once and clicked not interested. I mean, I kind of feel that. Revamped Skunk, thank you for the $2. Hey T1J, been a fan for 10 plus years. I appreciate that. 10 plus years, that's a long time. That's an OG. I mean, 10 years ago is basically when I first started getting views, so it might be a little bit more than 10 years ago, but yeah. One thing I will say about Destiny is I don't think I've ever heard Destiny speak with confidence about something that he didn't research. Like, I mean, he has so much content, there may be some example of that, but he seems to be pretty serious about at least researching something before talking about it or debating someone about it. Not that I always came to the same conclusions as him, but I don't know. But I don't know, being a streamer like that is, I feel like it's not a good thing, because you have to you generate so much content and you have to say so much stuff. It's like impossible to not say wrong and stupid stuff constantly because you just have to talk so much when you're a streamer. Anything planned for Halloween? Yeah, we were just talking about how Halloween is just kind of weird for me right now. If one of my friends is gonna throw like a chill party or something, then maybe I'll try that, but otherwise I'll probably just nothing. I'm at the age where I realized the hard way that I can't party anymore. I would like to, go out and party and stuff like that, but I just literally am like physically incapable of doing it. Because sometimes it's surprising to people because I'm a very like chill person, and I know none of you've met me in real life, but I don't like talk that much in real life. But if you met me, you would not think this, but I'm actually like a pretty extreme extrovert. I really like being social and hanging out with people. So like when I was younger, I was like a nightlife kind of person. I went out all the time. But can't really do it anymore. And it's a little bit sad because I like being social. So I'm trying to think of ways of being social that don't involve partying, which is a little bit hard to do in my town. The best thing is basically just finding like small gatherings of friends and stuff, which I do. Like, I play D&D every weekend. Me and my friends like watching football and stuff together, so stuff like that. But I'm trying to find like ways to like be social and mingle and stuff that don't involve like a bunch of alcohol and a bunch of craziness and stuff like that. Oh yeah, Destiny was on Healthy Gamer GG, who I really like, by the way. Is it Dr. K? I haven't watched his stuff recently, but I was a big fan of his. Yeah, I don't know. I try to have a I'm trying to, people contain multitudes, and I'm trying to, that's one of the, that's one of the negative parts of being in the political scene on the internet is there's like no, I don't even know how to describe what I'm trying to say. People just kind of decide, okay, this is a bad person, so we all don't like this person. And so like if you're like in the group and you're like, well, maybe we should think about this person complexly, you could easily, get trashed by the group, because it's like, no, we don't like that person. We're not allowed to like that person. We're not allowed to look at them complexly. And I just don't like that, and I try to step away from that, and that's why I'm trying to avoid being overly critical of these people that are being mentioned, because it's like, I don't know their life, I don't know their heart. I've not watched all their content. It's just I just don't want to look at people like that anymore. This is not to say that there are not, bad actors out there. There definitely are, and when they are identified, I think it's fine to call them out and to criticize them. But I find that people generally are just very quick to just jump on the bandwagon before they even know anything about the person that they're talking about. And that's the problem with streamers. Like I said before, they make so much content that you can pretty much pick and choose what you want for any opinion that you want to have about them, Like Destiny, for example, we've been talking about Destiny. If you want to believe that Destiny is transphobic, you can find so much stuff that supports that. But at the very same time, if you want to believe that Destiny is a huge trans ally, you can find a ton of content for that as well. And I happen to know that because I've watched a lot of Destiny. So it's like, it's just, being a streamer is just a very precarious thing. Going back up your old thumbnails is a trip. I want to say my first one was the Not Really a Nice Guy. Yeah, that video is pretty much what put me on the map. I had like 500 subscribers before I made that video. And that video just went pretty viral. It was like that video and like images and clips related to that video hit the front page of Reddit like 5 or 6 times. It's crazy. YouTube is mainly a millennial thing. There aren't many YouTubers over 50. Yeah. But the people grow with the platform. But especially now with the release of YouTube Shorts, I'm seeing a lot of younger people blow up on YouTube now as well. There's this Shorts creator that I followed, that I recently followed. She's like 18, I think, but she makes like these just really funny and interesting YouTube Shorts. Jenny Hoyas, I want to say. How does one know if they're being performative in their advocacy or activism? I think the easiest way, I mean, it's a complicated question, but the easiest way is when it's more about you than the people you're advocating for. If you care more about how you look, or if you're doing it in order to achieve some kind of, praise, or if you want to look good in front of people, then that's probably a good sign that it's performative. But yeah, I don't know. I like YouTube the best just because it kind of fits the type of content that I like making. I kind of wish there was other options for long form video content, but there really isn't. You know, outside of stuff like Nebula, which is different than YouTube for sure, but as far as a place for like creators to get discovered, YouTube is the best for long form video content. You know, regardless of the age range. But you know, I grew up on YouTube as well, so what's your take on Israel versus Palestine? This is, I feel like I get this question a lot, and it is weird to me that anyone thinks that any random person on the internet knows enough to have a solution to the Israel versus Palestine conflict. I feel like if you talk to any random person that is not an expert in a related field, you should not listen to anything they have to say about Israel versus Palestine, because that's like one of the most complicated geopolitical conflicts in the history of humanity. All I have to say about that is I think that all people should be free, and I think that anyone who murders and is a warmonger is bad and should stop, regardless of what side they're on. And also, religion is bad. Those are my takes. Twitch is better for streaming than YouTube. As a platform, I agree. The problem with Twitch is it has like poor leadership. I know they recently, their CEO recently stepped down, and they've been making a lot of changes. So maybe it'll be better at going forward. But Twitch's like leadership and structure has been like really chaotic and weird over the past few years. Also, Twitch is a company that doesn't make money. Like it's a non-profit. It's not a non-profit, it's a unprofitable company. So I'm very scared that Twitch is just going to disappear one day, because they don't make money, but the problem is they can't make more money, or I won't say they can't, but they haven't figured out a way to make more money without screwing over the creators. And they can't screw over the creators because then all the creators will leave. So but yeah, as a platform, Twitch is way better for streaming. YouTube live streaming is pretty trash, to be honest. Like, if I had an audience on Twitch, I would probably be streaming there right now instead of YouTube. But my audience is here. So I don't know if anyone was in my previous live streams. I did a couple live streams like last week or a couple weeks ago, and each one was, you know, kind of messed up because my internet was bad. And I recently switched my internet service and it seems a lot more stable now, so that's good. But hopefully those aren't famous last words. The only downside is I had to get slower internet, but slower internet that's stable is still better than fast internet that's unstable. YouTube, they like, I think YouTube will eventually catch up. It'll probably take them like 5 to 10 more years, but YouTube Live is just missing a lot of just basic features that Twitch has. They just added like gifted memberships, which they were missing for a long time, and gifted, like on Twitch, gifted subs is like one of the biggest sources of income for creators. And YouTube just was like, I don't know, we'll do it later. YouTube has this weird thing where every live stream has to have its own watch page, but that causes problems because, like, for example, if the stream breaks and like if my internet goes out, then the stream is just dead. You can't like refresh and the stream comes back. I have to basically start a whole new stream and it'll be a completely different URL. It's just, it's ridiculous. And like, for example, you see like how I have the chat on the screen. I have to change the URL for that every time I stream. It's not automatic. I have to update it at the beginning of every stream. It's just kind of weird how YouTube Live works. There are some people that have been trying to work on it though. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ludwig. He's a pretty big streamer. He used to be on Twitch, but he's a YouTube streamer now. But he's been working with some people to create a plugin that kind of fixes some of the problems with YouTube Live. But the problem with the plugin is that you need the creator and all of the commenters to to download the plugin, so or to install the plugin. So I like that I can rewind and play it on 2x speed on YouTube. That's actually a pretty interesting point. I never thought about that. 2x speed. Who came up with the idea of 2x play is a genius. I use that shit so much. What food do I cook better than anyone else? Like anyone else in the world? Probably nothing. But there are some things that I like to cook. I've gotten pretty good at making fried rice, I think. And I think I make the fried rice better than any of my friends. I think if I had to pick 2 things to cook that I knew I could do a good job, it would be fried rice and an omelet, like a Western omelet. Well, yeah, what's a Western omelet? You know, just like a regular omelet, like an IHOP style omelet. I'm pretty good at those because I really like them and I make them all the time. Yeah, gifted memberships on YouTube are random, which is pretty weird. Not sure why. Well, I think I know why, because YouTube is more sensitive about like privacy and stuff, and I guess they don't want people like, you know, going on people's profiles and doing stuff. I don't know, something like that. Because I'm also pretty sure that you have to go in and enable the ability to receive gifted memberships. I don't think it's on by default. Maybe it's on by default, but I know you can turn it off. They just, I think they're just worried about privacy. They don't want people's names popping up and stuff like that. My full-time content creator. I am a full-time content creator. I'm still working on, you know, I think there's more room for the channel to grow, and I want to make some investments in the channel, but I do not have another job. I make enough to survive, which is pretty cool. It's pretty, I mean, it's more than cool. It's like amazing. It's like a dream come true. And that's because of you all. You guys watch me, so that's cool. Thanks for that. I've never tried like the vertical lives, like Instagram live or TikTok live. Maybe I should try that. I don't know. I feel like it would be better for the quality of the platform if more people had content creation as a hobby rather than a full-time job. Yeah, I mean, there's different ways to look at it. In one way, it's pretty amazing that people get to do this cool thing as a job, and I kind of don't begrudge anyone for finding a way to make a living being creative or just making stuff or just having a cool job, you know. But does that decrease the quality of the content? Possibly in some ways, but also at the same time, when you have more money and more resources, you can make better content. So there's two sides to it, I guess. Like, I mean, it's a small thing, but like I could do this live stream with, you know, with a cheap webcam and no mic, but that would be bad. I think less people would watch that, and it would just be bad. It would be annoying. I think the fact that I have a decent camera and a nice mic improves the quality of the content. And the only reason that I was able to do that is because I made money from the videos. This mic is not cheap. This is a very expensive mic, but it's like the best mic. That's why everybody has it. If you've ever like seen a podcast, you've seen this mic, right? Everybody has it because it's like the best one. And it improves the quality of the content. So I needed to make money in order to be able to do that. So there's different ways of looking at it. What's the secret to your fried rice? There's a lot of secrets. There's a lot of things I think people overlook. I don't know how many people try to make fried rice, but so you want to use a wok because you want the kind of smoky flavor in a wok. The shape of the wok kind of like makes the smoke from the oil kind of like, you know, circulate over the rice. If you don't use a wok, you kind of lose the kind of smoky flavor that you want for the fried rice. You want to use dry rice, which usually the best way to do that is to use leftover rice that's been, you know, cooling in the fridge overnight. But you don't necessarily have to do that, but that's like the easiest way to get the correct texture of rice. If you use wet rice, it's not gonna come out right. You want to use a neutral oil. Don't use olive oil. Use a neutral oil. Those are the main things. Outside of that, you can be creative. You can put like anything in fried rice, whatever toppings you want. There are only, well, not toppings, that's the wrong word, but there are a few things that I think are non-negotiable. Fried rice should have eggs in it. Like it's not fried rice if it doesn't have eggs in it. And it should have onions or shallots in it. If it doesn't have onions or shallots, it's not fried rice. But outside of that, you can put whatever you want, whatever meat you want, whatever vegetables you want. I like to put, I like mushrooms in my fried rice, which I think is not common, but I like mushrooms a lot, so I put them in there. But I would say those are like the main secrets, quote unquote. How expensive is the mic? Well, let's see. Let's take a look. Hold on. What's this? The SM70 SM. Does my scene work? Hold on. $400. I actually thought it was going to be more than that. I think I paid more than that. But yeah, it's not cheap. Yeah, cold rice. Mainly dry, I think. I don't know if it necessarily has to be cold. Maybe cold is better, but it needs to be dry. That's the thing. It needs to, like, the moisture has to have been removed. You can kind of get around that by just using less water when you cook the rice, but the easiest way is to just cook the rice and put it in the fridge overnight. How do I choose my topics for my YouTube channel? How do I choose? I don't know. It's just kind of like what I think would make a good video that people would want to watch. It's hard to say. And my process has changed over time. Like when I used to make a lot of political stuff, I just kind of was honestly like, it was kind of like if I was making like if I was writing a book about like my political viewpoints, what would I put in that book? That's kind of like how I chose my topics back then. But now I'm like, I specifically look for interesting stories. That's kind of what I'm looking for now. Like, what is an interesting story that I haven't heard other people talking about? So like my most viewed video is the video about the Joe Schmo show, which is called He Thought He Had Friends, They Were Paid Actors. And I just thought that was such a really cool story to tell. And I had never heard anyone tell that story before. So that's what made me want to do that. And people ended up liking it. It's by far my most viewed video, which is wild. So that's kind of, it's like, A, do I think people would want to watch this? B, do I want to make it? Is it going to be fun to make? And C, is it an interesting story? And D, is it something that that people haven't really been talking about? That's kind of what I say. What inspired you to make YouTube videos, and how old were you when you started? I think I basically started taking YouTube seriously in 2010. And in 2010, I was 25, I think. And what made me want to make YouTube videos is just because I just like making stuff. I've always been sort of like the creative artsy fartsy kind of guy growing up. I used to like draw when I was younger. I used to make a web comic. I used to make music. I just like creating stuff and being creative, and YouTube was just another way to do that. So in the beginning, that was just like, oh, here's another outlet for creativity. And also that sort of on top of the fact that I've always been a very sort of opinionated person. So the combination of being creative and being opinionated kind of came together to form the beginning of my YouTube channel. The Blackalicious video was greatly appreciated. Any other backpack rappers from that era you're a big fan of? Sure. Black Star, Aesop Rock, Atmosphere, Pharaoh Monch, yeah, there's a bunch. Trying to think of some more that would fit. Del the Funky Homo Sapien and the Hieroglyphics crew. Merce, Bus Driver. Ra the Rugged Man. Yeah, there's a lot. Who's someone I would love to interview? I don't know. I don't really have that much of a desire to interview people. There's people that I would like to hang out with. The way you said it, I was expecting like 1K. I think I paid like $700 for mine. Maybe like 600. I think maybe they're cheaper than they used to be. But, you know, video equipment can get pretty expensive, you know. I like the main camera that I use for my videos is like a $2,000 camera. If you met the ghost of your great grandmother, what would you say to her? I don't know. I don't know. I guess I would say slavery sucked, right? Do topics like Will and Jada or what's happening in media capture your attention? Sometimes, yeah. I've heard a lot about Will and Jada, but I usually don't follow them close enough to have the full context. And like a lot of times, like with extremely like negative stories, I tend to tune them out because they're just kind of like depressing. But when it comes to stuff like Will and Jada, like I know that they're like weirdly public about their all of their like marital issues, but ultimately, you know, they're human beings, and I don't, you know, I don't know what's going on with them, and I don't want to like speculate on their lives. Like I don't know. I can have opinions, but ultimately it's like it doesn't help anything. It's like I hope that y'all figure out everything. I hope you figure out your problems, because I don't know. I have nothing to contribute to that, I don't think. Can I interview in my podcast? You can email me and we can see if we can figure something out. It just depends. I am very busy because I've been putting a lot more work into my videos lately, and it like literally takes up all my time. The best era of music? I don't know. I feel like well, I was gonna say I really like 80s music, but you know, most people are gonna say that their favorite era of culture is the era that shaped them growing up. So for me, that would be like the 90s and early 2000s. And that's where most of my favorite stuff came out, including music. Dilated Peoples, not many people talk about them, but they worked with early Kanye. Yeah, I remember the Dilated Peoples song with Kanye. This is a good song. And Dilated Peoples is another good example of sort of that sort of conscious underground rap from that era. I think it could be interesting to hear Americans talk about their surprise at how different, for example, European countries can be. Had any abroad experiences that surprised you? No, I've not been able to do much traveling. That's something that I would like to do in my life, but I've not really been able to do it. So I have like no experience with other countries, which is a little sad. How are you doing? Are you sleeping well? What kind of support would be ideal from your audience? I'm good, and I'm sleeping good. As long as I remember not to drink caffeine too soon before bed, I'm usually sleeping well. Or alcohol. What kind of support would be ideal? I mean, that's kind of a broad question, but I don't know, just watch the videos. That's fine. What happened to conscious rap in your humble opinion? Is that autocorrect? What happened to it? I don't know that anything happened to it. I mean, just like anything, music evolves, but there's a lot of rap around that could still be considered conscious rap. You know, there's like Kendrick Lamar or Chance the Rapper or you know, it's not exactly the same, but I feel like it's in the same vein and it's inspired in the same way. J. Cole. Would you ever do a D&D with fans series? Possibly. I'll just have to find a good way to facilitate that. I've been thinking about starting a D&D channel. Like if I really wanted to like go hard with like D&D type of content, I would probably just make a new channel. But it's you know, it's already a lot of work just running this channel. So if I do that, I might need to find like some help or something, like get an editor or something, producer or something. What is the most bizarre food combination that I enjoy? I don't know if I have a bizarre one. When I was a kid, I used to eat mayonnaise sandwiches. Literally just a bunch of mayonnaise between two pieces of bread. I haven't done that in a while though. I would probably still like that though if I ate it. I can't think of anything super weird that I eat now though. What's the most frivolous media you take part in to unwind? Is T1J watching Housewives? Not watching Housewives. I don't really watch TV, but the closest thing to that would be just like TikTok or YouTube Shorts. I've been really I think a good example of that is I've been watching, this is kind of crazy, but you all might remember Ray William Johnson, who's, you know, he used to be like the biggest YouTuber like, you know, 15 years ago or something. But he still makes content. The content that he makes now is kind of like he talks about TikTok drama and just like interesting like drama stories. And I love those videos. And I like they're just like these really short vertical videos. And he posts like on every platform, like he's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. But I don't know, he's very good at telling the story, and they're not like, even though like they're like drama videos, they're not really like negative. Like you like sometimes they're, you know, they're kind of designed to be like, hey, look at this bad thing this person did. Isn't that a bad person that we should, you know, we shouldn't like? Which is, you know, I usually don't like negative stuff like that, but usually I think they have kind of a generally positive vibe in terms of let's try not to be shitty people, basically. But mostly it's just drama videos, and I don't know, they're like really addictive. So I've been watching a lot of Ray William Johnson videos, which is pretty weird to say because he's this like really old school YouTuber. But that's probably the closest thing to that I've been watching recently. Have you ever read Thinking in Systems? I have not. I don't know what that is. I can see an every Thursday evening beers Zoom stream T1J and a handful of friends who've never played D&D before, and it just gets to be vibes. I can see something like that too, but you know, putting stuff like that together still requires a decent amount of, you know, coordination and work, which I have to figure it out. I want to do some kind of D&D content though, whether it's on this channel or a different channel. I just don't know like the best way to do it or how much of it I want to do. Because it could be some, like, unfortunately, since I do this as my job, when I make content, I have to be like, do I need to make money from this in order for it to be worth it? Like, I actually have to think like that, which is kind of sad. I understand, but at the same time, it could end up being like, for example, say I make some D&D content and people love it. And on YouTube, if something gets a lot of attention, you start making money from it. So, you know, I could see it as another income source, but I don't want that to be the reason why I start doing it. So, you know, there's many things to weigh out. Yeah, Ray William Johnson is old school, and I have a lot of admiration for him because he has managed to evolve his career over time, and he's still killing it. Like, to this day, he's still killing it on YouTube. Like, he still gets like 1 million+ views on all of his videos. Like, he's kind of like mastered the art of internet content. Do I watch D'Angelo Wallace? I've seen a few D'Angelo Wallace videos. I don't watch like religiously. I don't necessarily like drama content, but I don't know, there's something about Ray's videos that, maybe because they're short. Like, here's my thing. If you're gonna make drama content, it needs to have a positive outlook at the end of the day. And I actually think D'Angelo Wallace usually does have a positive outlook, if I remember correctly. But I don't know, there's some drama stuff, like Keemstar is the perfect example. His content is just messy and negative and shitty, and it makes me feel bad. I don't like that kind of drama stuff. But yeah. Have I ever tried any other tabletop games? I have not tried Warhammer. I've always wanted to try Warhammer, but it kind of has a intense it takes a lot to get into it. Like, you got to buy a lot of stuff basically, which, you know, I'm not necessarily opposed to doing, but I need to find someone who's like as into it. But I played other games. I love Vampire the Masquerade almost as much as D&D. I've played Call of Cthulhu. I've played Kids on Bikes is another system I've used. Powered by the Apocalypse. So I've tried a lot of different tabletop systems for sure. Not like, you know, not as much as some other tabletop veterans, but I've tried a few. Who's my favorite YouTuber? That's hard to say. I mean, I have a lot of favorite YouTubers. I don't know if I can just pick one. If I pick one YouTube channel that I say is my favorite, just like over time, then I pick Vlogbrothers. Because that's probably the only channel that I have consistently watched since the beginning, and I still watch every single Vlogbrothers video. So that's probably my favorite. But there's so many channels that I really love. I love Drew Gooden. I love the Dead Meat channel. I love H Bomber Guy, ContraPoints, although she doesn't fucking post. She posts like once every 2 years now. I'm just trying to think of channels that I just don't miss a video. That's what I would consider my favorite, where I just feel like I have to watch every video. But yeah, those are some examples. Captain Disillusion's a great channel. I feel like I haven't read enough books to really have an opinion on which books are good and which books are not. I'm trying to get more into reading, but growing up, I was not much of a reader for sure. Or not even just growing up, for most of my life until recently, I was not much of a reader. As far as books go, I read a lot of news articles and shit like that. But I thought RWJ's had Eagles 3 left it. Hollywood didn't work out and came back diminished. Didn't realize he was so big still. Yeah, I mean, he pivoted to short form vertical content, but he's killing it. In fact, I think he may even be doing better now than he's ever done, because he posts his videos on all the platforms and they get millions of views on each platform. Obviously each platform has different like monetization systems or whatever, but yeah, he's doing well. He's actually smart too, because he makes short videos, but he intentionally doesn't make them shorts, which I don't know if you guys know how this works, but YouTube shorts have to be under a minute. And if you upload a vertical video that's less than a minute, YouTube will automatically identify it as a short and put it like in a whole different algorithm than the rest of the videos. But he doesn't make his videos under a minute, but that's good because YouTube shorts don't make money. I mean, they make like a very, very small amount of money. So if you release them as a regular video, even if they're vertical, you make way more money. So that's good on him. But he actually does this thing where he releases his videos as shorts, but he doesn't like, since his videos are longer than a minute, he just lets them cut off at a minute. And I guess it's just to get people to like go to his real videos and watch the full thing. I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah. For some reason, I thought his ex was bigger on YouTube than him now. Are you talking about Anna Akana? That's another YouTube I really like, but I wouldn't say bigger, no. But Anna Akana is I don't think YouTube is her main gig anymore. I think she's like a working actor. Do you go to conventions and Ren fairs and things like that to find people? Not as much as I want to. That's another thing I want to do more going forward. I've never been to a Ren fair. I would like to go to one. That is true. Contra does post on Patreon, and I guess maybe that's what she wants to do. Maybe that's like that's what she wants to do as her content, which is fine. Yeah, Sean's good. Drew Gooden. I love Drew Gooden. You know, there's like that whole scene with like the commentary bros with like Drew Gooden and Danny Gonzalez and Curtis Connor and all those other guys, but Drew Gooden is my favorite of those bunch. I like all of them, but Drew's my favorite. ContraPoints dabbled in the opiates not too long ago. Not the best thing to do. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a great idea. How do you feel about audiobooks? They're fine, I guess. I don't have anything against them. I don't have, there's too much content out there, like I was saying with TV shows and stuff. So I watch a lot of YouTube, and that's kind of the only content I consume outside of like very few exceptions. Sometimes I listen to podcasts like when I'm driving or when I'm cooking or something, and that would be the only time that I would even want to listen to an audiobook, but I already have a couple of podcasts that I keep up with, so I just don't have time to listen to anything else. That's why I don't understand how people have time to engage with all this content. It's wild. Veritasium is pretty good as well. I think Veritasium, for me at least, is one of those channels that I don't watch every single video, but every now and then he just makes a banger that I really love. Do you have a creator that makes content that doesn't fit with what people know you for, like watching horse hoof cleaning, even though you never said you were interested in that? Yeah, I get interested in random communities and subcultures all the time, even stuff that I'm not necessarily personally into. Like, there's this, especially like, I know a lot of people don't like YouTube Shorts, but YouTube Shorts is a good way to introduce people into random communities. Like, there's this guy who is a gymnast who makes YouTube Shorts, and I really like the videos. I have like no interest in that, in like being a gymnast, but I like the videos. It's interesting. It's interesting to know what goes on in that world, you know? And you know, whenever I'm like really interested in something, I usually like look for content about it. Like, I'm really into chess. I don't know if it's probably not that surprising that I'm into chess, but if you didn't know I was into chess, that might be interesting. But I watch a ton of chess content. Let me look at my homepage and see if there's anything surprising on there. The first video is a chess video. That's funny. I think before it was well known that I was interested in D&D. I think that was probably surprising to people. I watch a lot of NBA videos, but again, that's probably not that surprising, or at least not that interesting. I'm really into wrestling, which people may not know, professional wrestling. There are some other things that I'm interested in, but I don't want to mention it because I might be doing videos about it, so I don't want to spoil it. There's other ones I can't think of it though. Like, I've discovered a lot of random stuff recently, but I can't think of it. There was a brief moment where I was watching what's it called? Stone tumbling. You know what I'm talking about? Where you put stones in a tumbling and then they come out really smooth in a tumbler. Rock tumbling. Yeah, I was watching a bunch of rock tumbling videos like a couple of years ago, but I don't really watch it that much anymore. But yeah, you just like put rocks in like a tumbler and put it in there for like 2 weeks or something, and then when it's after 2 weeks, they come out like really shiny and polished and smooth. It's really cool. Yeah, I think Ray, like I said, I think Ray mastered content a long time ago. Like he found the thing that he was good at. Ray William Johnson also did this series. It's kind of like a self-help type of series, but I kind of really appreciated it because I saw an interview with him where he was talking about how he just wanted to use his platform to like help people. So he made this series about stuff like how to be more productive, how to live a happier life, how to deal with anxiety, stuff like that, which it was still kind of in that Ray William Johnson style where he's like making these like corny jokes and stuff. So it may not be for everyone, but I'm sure it did help people, which I think is cool. Watching any good sitcoms lately? No. I watched a show called Forever on Amazon Prime. So I guess that's a sitcom. It's a really cool show. The stars are Maya Rudolph and Fred Armisen. But it's a really cool show. So that's kind of like a cool sitcom, but it's barely I mean, it's kind of a sitcom, but it's barely a sitcom. It's like, I'm trying to think of something to compare it to. Like it's definitely a comedy. Like I'm not saying it's not a comedy, but it's more about the story than it is about the jokes. And unfortunately, it got canceled before they were able to like continue telling the story, so it kind of ends before all the questions are answered, which is kind of frustrating. But it's a really good show. I recommend it if you guys want something to watch. I don't want to exactly tell you what it's about because I don't want to spoil it, but it's basically about like Fred Armisen and Maya Rudolph play a married couple, and you know, it's like one of those couples that they obviously love each other, but they're still having trouble in their marriage, and you know, they're kind of getting bored with each other. And then like some crazy stuff happens and they have to deal with it. But I think you need to watch the show. You don't want the premise to be spoiled because it's kind of a surprise. Unless you've heard about it already. Have I ever played Catan? I actually haven't. That's another game I've always wanted to play. I need to play it. My friends are usually pretty good about letting me do random activities, like letting me force random activities upon them. So I think I can get them to play Catan with me. Like I pretty much got all my friends into D&D, and we've done all kind of crazy stuff. Like I organized a game of Jeopardy for my friends. I turned my apartment into an escape room one time. We just do random activities like that sometimes, so I'm sure that they'd be down to play. I got randomly into ecosphere videos. Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen those actually. I get those city. I've seen those city walking videos as well. Yeah. But that's. I mean, that's one of the things why. That's one of the reasons why I love YouTube and just the internet in general. And that's why I kind of. I'm like pro the creator economy, because people get to, or at least some people get to, if not make a full living, at least make a side hustle just with their hobby or just something that they really love. And in many ways, that honestly, that goes back to why I stopped making political content, because I don't love politics, you know. I think it's important, and I wanted to make important content, but it's not that enjoyable, especially like when you get involved in the community. So I kind of respect that idea of, you know, I really love rock tumbling, and I made some videos and a bunch of people thought it was interesting, and now I get like an extra $200 a month. Like, to me, that's cool. Have any of my friends wanted to start a channel, or are you the black sheep? I would say I'm kind of the odd man out there. My brother, who is also part of my friend group, I would say my brother is another creative person. My brother also works on a YouTube channel, but he's kind of like, he's not the face of the channel. He's kind of like the editor, and he also makes music and stuff. So my brother is a creative, but my friend, like my main friend group is like, two of them are engineers and one of them works in retail. So I'm definitely like the artsy fartsy person of the group. But they have expressed interest in like being a part of content. So actually, you may start seeing them appear in maybe like some shorts or something. But I don't think they have interest in like making content, especially like as a career, because they have jobs that they like. Have I heard of an Indonesian board game called SUPERCHATS? I don't think so. The name sounds familiar though, actually. Oh no, I've never seen this before. Interesting though. I'm interested in like strategy games like that though. Who's my, I suppose that means Street Fighter main. If you mean Street Fighter, specifically Street Fighter 6, then my main is Kimberly, who is apparently one of the worst characters, but she's fun to play. All right, guys, I'm probably going to end the stream in about 10-ish minutes. Just heads up. Oh, what's up, Electric Low Main? Been a long time for sure. What's your favorite 80s cartoon? Well, 80s cartoon is a little bit before my time. Maybe Ninja Turtles? I grew up watching the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think that started in the 80s. But I'm a 90s kid for sure. I was born in the mid 80s, but I didn't really start engaging with content until the 90s. I don't really have a stream schedule, but I did stream 3 times in the past month, which is very, very good for me. Because I always say, yeah, and guys, I'm going to try to stream more. And then I don't do it. So I don't want to make a promise, but I do want to, I want to make an attempt. I kind of feel like I've lost touch with my community almost. Really respect your political thoughts, but understand not wanting to engage with that on a regular basis. You're a critical thinker, and you can apply critical thinking to anything. I agree with that. I mean, it's just, you know, people engage with the content they want to engage with. Like, if people, I think a lot of people, once I announced that I'm not making political content anymore, I think a lot of people left and moved on, which is fine. Like, you watch what you want to watch. If people don't want to watch the stuff that I make now, that's totally fine. I just, you know, I'm just in a process now of just finding the audience for what people want to, or finding an audience for what I want to make. And, you know, there are probably some people that just stick around because they appreciate me as a person, which I also think is cool. But yeah, just gotta find the audience. I just felt like I needed to explain myself. That's why I made that video about it. But overall, it's not that big a deal. Just watch what you want to watch. You know, there's, like I said, one of the reasons why I don't feel that bad about it is because there's tons of political content that's good already that, you know, you can watch. So I don't feel like I'm like leaving a void. Maybe some people think I'm leaving a void, but I really don't think I am. Whenever someone mentions 80s cartoon, I instantly start humming the X-Men theme. The 80s X-Men theme? Definitely the 90s X-Men show is better. But, you know, do your thing. Well, there was an X-Men show in the 80s, but the one that I feel like most people are familiar with is X-Men the animated series, which is definitely the 90s. Are you talking about the that's the 90s for sure. But there was one from the 80s. The Pride of the X-Men. Yeah, that's what it was called. Pride of the X-Men. Wait, was that the show, or was that, it says it was just a pilot. Hold on. Oh, it was just a pilot. So I guess you're talking about the 90s one. But yeah, they did try to make one in the 80s, but I guess it didn't work out. And then there was, X-Men Evolution, which I believe was the 2000s. But as a elder millennial, I definitely have the fondest memories of X-Men the animated series from the 90s. That show's so good, and it's still good. I've watched it recently. It's still good. It kind of holds up. I mean, it's a 30-minute animated show for kids, so it's not like the deepest and most, you know, well scripted show ever, but it's still super fun and super entertaining and has some very interesting stories. And it was pretty faithful to the comics at the time. pretty. I mean, it took some liberties, but it was pretty faithful. Good show. And I grew up like when I was a kid, X-Men was my absolute favorite. Like I read comic books growing up. I was a big comic book person. And I loved X-Men. That was my favorite. I loved X-Men so much. I still love X-Men, but I think the MCU has like kind of shifted my allegiances in the Marvel universe. And also like the X-Men movies, I wasn't that big of a fan of the X-Men movies. So that kind of soured my taste a little bit for the X-Men, but growing up, that was my shit. I loved that. I loved it so much. And I just loved the whole idea of it. Stan Lee truly was a genius. Because as is probably well known by now, the X-Men is largely an allegory for racism / discrimination in general. Or like the persecution of mutants in the X-Men stories. Which is pretty chill for, you know, some, you know, a Jewish white guy from New York in the 70s. It's like, that's pretty legit, bro. Yeah, Stanley. I don't get super bummed when celebrities die because it's like I don't know them. Yeah, they made some cool stuff, but you know, it's always sad when someone dies, but I don't get super bummed. But there's a few that really get to me. And Stan Lee's one. Robin Williams was another one. Fred Rogers was another one. So there's a few people. It's like, man, that sucks because that was an important person, you know. I really like your new content. It's very wholesome and it helps with my day-to-day stress. I hope you don't get discouraged by this transition period. I thank you. I appreciate that. That's really encouraging to hear because I do, and that's again that's another reason why I wanted to change content because I really want to make content that makes people feel good, and it's really hard to do that with politics. I think I was a little bit better at it than other political content creators. I always tried to add an element of hope to my videos, but it's just hard to do with politics. I don't want people to watch my videos and then just leave my videos like more mad or more sad than when they started. And that's usually what happens when you watch politics videos, even if they're good. You know, there's a lot of very good politics. I'm not saying it makes the videos bad, but it's just, I don't know. That's just not what I want to contribute to the world. So I appreciate that comment. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. I appreciate everybody coming through. Thanks for asking questions. And we will do, I want to do, we will have some streams where we do other stuff than just ask questions or whatever. I want to paint some minis. I got a bunch of minis that I need to paint, and if I paint them on stream, then I can write them off as a business expense. So I'm gonna do that. I got a bunch of little spider dudes I wanna paint. Can you see it? I got like 9 of these that I need to paint. And just a bunch of other stuff. Like, I got a bunch of minis to paint, so I figure I could do that on stream. That might be fun. And other stuff. I got some ideas. Anyway, thank you for coming to the stream. I want to plug my Discord. If you like chill conversations like this, I have a Discord community. It's very chill, very friendly. Let me see if my command still works in the chat. It does work. Awesome. So I just put the link into the chat. You can go there if you want to check out my Discord community. And it's just, you know, it's just chill conversations about any topic you want. There's a lot of different channels you can join. I'm pretty active on there for the most part. So I just wanted to plug that. Outside of that, I've got a new video coming very soon. What's today? Maybe next week. So look out for that. But yeah, thanks for coming, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.